Okay. Yeah. Little routine still. All right. Okay, got that. Let me pass out the last page. Thank you. Each person needs that page. I need to talk in stocks, my friends. Put your name at the top of this page. First name, last name, top of this page. Thank you. Okay, guys. So we have 7 resources we're going to go through today, but they're relatively short, okay? We're going to work through them together in terms of reading them. We're going to discuss the first one because it's kind of the background information, but it's not going to have any writing that goes with it. The first 4 we will write about, we will discuss. The last 2 we will discuss and you'll do the writing about it. And then you're going to write a paragraph. My students said today this is probably the easiest paragraph they've written because it's very interesting, the material we're going to cover today. Okay? All right, we're going to start with this page. And Lucas, I'm going to post all these pages on Dojo now that we finally have working ClassLink and internet. It's an amazing thing when technology works like it's supposed to.
So Lucas is in our class.
Right now he is because he's had no ClassLink all day. He's been without school all day. Anybody on virtual has been without school today because Cato has been down across the entire district. Come on, Elmo. I need you to work. Elmo, come in. Okay, so look at the picture first, guys. I always want you to look at pictures if a picture is given. Look at the Native Americans and the Europeans. They're standing at the same height, aren't they? And the picture shows them sort of shaking hands, doesn't it? It doesn't show the Europeans standing taller than the Native Americans. The picture that we looked at Friday showed Columbus standing taller than the Native Americans, and the Native Americans were presenting him with a gold pillow with gold sitting atop it, weren't they? They look like they're bowing before their master almost, didn't they? Like, oh, here's a gift for you. We're so honored that you're here.
Like when
That's not like that though, is it? Stop playing Sir Legends. Unless you want me to send that picture to your mom and dad. I can. No? Okay, then quit. That picture, do they look like they're on equal terms? They do. It doesn't look like one group of people is above the other. They look like they are on the same, they're equal. They're shaking hands. It looks like it's a friendly agreement, doesn't it? Whatever it is they're doing so in a friendly way, right? Which is different than everything we're going to read about today. We're going to read about friendly encounters, which is cooperation, and we're going to read about conflicts, which is the opposite of cooperation. It's not getting along, okay? Now that we have Zoom, I'm gonna read so that Lucas can hear, okay? I'm first of all gonna zoom in though. What is my phone beeping at now? Oh, apparently I move my arms a lot. Who knew? European explorers came to the New World, it was new to Europeans, of North America in the 1500s. Before that time, the continent was an unknown place to them, except for the Vikings who were here in 1000. These explorers saw it as an entirely new land with animals and plants to discover. They also met new people in this exciting new world, people with fascinating life ways that the Europeans had never seen and languages they had never heard. This new world for Europeans was actually a very old world for the various people they met in North America. How old did I tell you guys before were the tribes that were in North America at that time? Do you remember? What's that?
1,000.
Older than 1,000. How long did they think Native Americans? 10 centuries. They've been here for 10,000 years. So the people that were living in America, their groups were very old. The Europeans that were new.
Native Americans here.
What the Europeans didn't wipe out, sure enough.
I thought they would like start being there at year 1,000.
They started counting at the year 0.
Oh.
0 AD, you know, 0 after death. Today we call those people Native Americans. You can also call them indigenous peoples. That's what's written on the board. Indigenous means native to an area. So you can call them Native Americans, or you can call them indigenous Americans or indigenous peoples, any one of those. The history of the European settlement of North and South America is one of both cooperation and conflict with Native Americans. In many cases, Native Americans tried to prevent the landings of European peoples on their lands. Blake, why would they prevent the landings of Europeans? How was Mr. Columbus with the Native Americans? What did we talk about what he did in DeSoto? What did DeSoto do? Here, come help my people. What did we talk about Friday? Come help us, we're lost. Eason, what did he do?
He stole and he slaved.
He came into Florida and said, we need help, we're lost, and then kidnapped the people that helped them. So did the Native Americans have a good reason to not want people to land on their coastal lands?
Yes.
They had a reason to distrust the Europeans coming ashore, right? Keep going. We don't want you stopping here. Keep going. Go land somewhere else. Now it's DeSoto to do that. Columbus is a nice guy compared to DeSoto. Okay, so the Native Americans had good reason to not want Europeans on their land. Also, do you think the Native Americans might have been worried that new people might come up and want to take their food?
Yeah.
It's not like you could go to a grocery store in 1500 and buy your next meal. They had to grow their food, and it was probably quite a struggle to grow their food. And trying to support more people would be possibly devastating and could possibly cause starvation and death to your own family. So while you might want to help new people, it could mean death for your family and your tribe. So, I mean, they have legit reasons for not wanting people to stop by. It's not just because they're not friendly. I mean, they got legit reasons. Over time, Native Americans would help the Europeans from peril. Peril means danger. For example, in 1607, the Powhatans, that's a tribe, helped save the colony of Jamestown from starvation. I'm sorry, this dog hairs on my mask. It's making me itch so much. Europeans and Native Americans would trade corn, furs, and other commodities for beads or glass trinkets. How do we know that now? They're talking about 1607. That's 400 years ago. How do we know that the Powhatans traded beads or glass trinkets with the Europeans? Jaden, you're clearly bored enough to be playing with your pencil. So how do we know, since you're so aware of what's going on, that the Powhatans were trading beads and glass trinkets with the Europeans? What evidence do you think we have? Does it come from your pencil eraser that you were dropping on the desk? Yes or no? No. Where does it come from? What evidence have we that they were trading with Europeans? Okay. Come on, quiet's not going to get the answer done. Quiet's going to mean the rest of your class is going to have a paragraph for homework. Several people in second block have a paragraph for homework tonight. I don't think they liked that their classmate was quiet when I asked them a question. What do you think, Cody? I know what they traded, but how do we know that? What evidence is there for that, Ryan? Pull up your math page. There you go. To keep math, you gotta wear it. I bet your headphones will come in the next day or so.
I've already done my
Gotta bring them tomorrow. What evidence do you think there is for that? Anybody here been to Poverty Point over in West Monroe? What evidence is there, Brian?
That the evidence is that that there was areas that it shows, and they probably they came back with these items, and they probably told us that.
So you think Native Americans came back from the dead? They rose up out of the dead and told us?
No, they left places where it shows what they got, what they sold. Like at Poverty Point, we dug up items.
Correct. What is it called? The people who dig up those items. What are those people called?
They're called.
You notice I called on a teacher's talk for this. Archaeologists. Okay. So archaeologists go and dig up findings, old findings. They know what the Powhatan tribe made. They know what patterns and what types of dye they would use to make their glass beads and their glass little trinkets, what little figurines they typically made. So when they find those items hundreds of miles away from where the Powhatan tribes were located, they know, oh, wow, this was traded to the Europeans. What would the Europeans have been trading to get these items? You see? So digging, why I asked about Poverty Point. Poverty Point is a well-known one that's older than the Egyptian pyramids, and it happens to be pretty darn close to here.
It's an old trading site.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They even have even the areas. You can still see imprints of it.
You can still see where the mounds were built, and they're older than Egypt. Guys, they dug out for the highways. They dug out pathways, and they farmed. They very much cut into these pyramids and these various mound works over the thousands of years because they had no idea they were there until helicopters went up in the winter and they saw, oh my goodness, there's actual shapes on the ground made out of massive amounts of mud and dirt. So they found by digging around those, they found evidence of various different tribal glass beads and pottery and even cloth. And it's really weird to find pieces of cloth that's tens of thousands of years old, because cloth breaks down easily and quickly, but they did. So when you find Native American things far away from where it should be, and you find European items far away from where it should be, then you know there was trading going on. Okay, so that's how they know.
How do you think the Europeans got their food? There were a small number at first of Europeans. So
They're saying Jamestown was saved by the Powhatans because they would have starved to death. Okay, let's keep reading about this so we can get through everything, okay?
we can start.
Yes, because it's very interesting, the sources, especially 2, 4, and 6. Within a short period of time, here's all in my mask. Yeah. Within a short period of time, cooperation gave way to conflict. One of the chief problems involved the different concept of land and land ownership. Native Americans generally believed that the land was a gift from the Creator. I swear I'm going to pluck my dog bald so I don't have this problem again. Oof. Love my dog, but whew, the hair. Land was a gift from the Creator to be used for the welfare of the people. So Native Americans believed you couldn't own land. They thought it was something to be shared. Europeans, is an emergency? What? You what? Oh, dude, go to the bathroom. Clean your sleeve too, okay? Okay, how I have hairs in this one. In the mask itself.
This one's so tight it will reach for.
See my glasses?
Yeah, that's not
Just a bit.
I'm with my dad. He.
All right.
So he doesn't have any stuff. That's why I'm not with.
Europeans came to America with a different concept. Land was a source of both livelihood and a source of personal wealth. So Europeans believed that land was something that was bought and sold, and that people made their money from both farming on the land and selling the things that was produced on the land, and from having businesses on the land. So Native Americans thought, this is land that we will share with the Europeans, and they would think they would be sharing their land with the Europeans. Europeans would get mad because they thought the Native Americans were giving over the land to the Europeans. And so wars and conflicts arose as the Europeans and Native Americans fought for the rights to the land. One side couldn't understand the other side because they had such fundamental differences of opinions on how land was to be used. Okay, that's one of those idea viewpoint things where you have the two different sides come to work together, and they have such different views. I wish we could walk back to that. You wash your hands. Whoop, don't touch the desk. Oh, I know it has her name on it. It's what she brought her stuff in originally. Now go sanitize your hands. Okay, so what was one of the big differences of opinions between Native Americans and Europeans? Landon. And the Europeans thought that the Native Americans should just give up the land. All right, so go to your little packet. Okay. Front row. Oh, sorry, you guys aren't able to do the reading. I will do it so we can get through everything, okay? The first Europeans to purchase furs from Native Americans were French and English fishermen who, during the 1500s, pull your feet back, Vautier, fished off the coast of northeastern Canada. In exchange, the Indians received European manufactured goods, such as guns, metal, cooking utensils, and cloth. How do we know that? Easton. But they dig up, archaeologists dig up evidence. They would find guns and metal cooking utensils because the metal stays around a long time when it's buried, right? Yes, sir?
And when you know something's from British, and you may know that the Americans bring evidence, and that means you may know some trading was going on back then.
We would know that it was British and French based on the buttons they would find on the clothing. That's how they would know which European group it was involving. This trade became so lucrative means profitable, that many fishermen abandoned fishing and made voyages to North America only to trade in furs.
But they is not that. Fishing is very valuable.
It is.
Like $100.
Okay, so source one. Does source one talk about a cooperation type interaction or a conflict?
Cooperation.
Cooperation. All right, someone give me a description, a summary of source one. Blake, you're awfully quiet. Help me out. Lisa's not the only one in class, guys. Come on. I need some answers for my classmates.
I know.
Uh-huh. JC. Kalia, tell me what's going on in source one. First of all, which two European groups? Which kinds of Europeans? French and English did what? Backflips?
Yes.
Traded. What? Traded what, Kalia? What was the big thing they were trading? What does that mostly talk about? I'm asking Kalia. And Kalia might be good, but she is not throwing her voice into other people's bodies. So, Miss Hall, what was the main thing that article talked about them trading? Furs. With who? Who do we see in the picture? Are they clowns? No, who are they? Who? With who? They're trading with Europeans? They're trading furs with Europeans?
No.
French and English are trading with Europeans? Or are they trading with a bunch of people named Demazier? No? Who are they trading with? Who are those people in the foreground in the picture? One's wearing the eagle feathers. What is it? There you go. Okay. French and English traded furs with Native Americans. There you go. Short and sweet. When you write your paragraph, you might want to go back into the article to pull out more information. I don't know. That's up to you. All right. Look at your source too. Wow. A couple hardheads put this in the wrong spot. I guess they didn't want me to. Oh, no, they didn't. All right. Everybody ready for source two? It gets your attention. Look at source two. It's a picture you won't ever forget. I'm serious. Serious as a heart attack. In their search for wealth, DeSoto and his men tortured and brutally killed many Native Americans. Look at the background. Their men walk around with no hands and no feet. In the middle part, there's a man, no hands. The guy at the bottom, he's already missing a hand. He's got a foot already cut off. He's about to have another one cut off. You see down here, there's somebody's head, hands, feet. The reason they're cutting them off, I looked it up. I did a little research. Who in here has heard of the Incas? Massive, very well organized civilization in South America. Okay. Beautiful culture, beautiful structures in the north part of South America. DeSoto and his men completely wiped out the Incas before he came to the southeast United States. He killed, tortured probably over 100,000 men and women.
But why would they choose to cut off their hands?
Gonna get there. So I had thought that it was related to his supposed spread of Christianity, because I say supposed because anybody who's a Christian, how can you do that? That had to do with, he told the people he subjugated, the people that he enslaved, you must every day bring me a hawk's bill, which is a small amount, of gold or gold dust every day. Now let's think about where these people are. We're talking Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, Arkansas, Mississippi, and Texas. Everywhere in the southeast except for Louisiana. He actually died in Louisiana. But that's where he was expecting all these Native American tribes, every person, to find him a hawk's bill of gold every single day. And after 3 days, if he didn't find it, he would take a part of you off. This is 1500s. They didn't sew up the parts that they cut. There were no antibiotics. They didn't know anything about antibiotics then. So by doing that, that was torturing a person to death because they would end up dying slowly of an infection. That was a tortuous way to kill a person. Because when you had a hand removed, there are flies all around. Y'all know how the South is. We have bugs everywhere. Bacteria. This thing on my chest where, I mean, you know, they did this in a sterile operating room and it still managed to get a little bit infected. And I put Neosporin on it a few days. I'm fine. Because we had Neosporin. They didn't have Neosporin then. And this was stitched shut on the inside, stitched shut on the outside, and glued shut. So it's closed 3 different ways. And I'm keeping it super duper clean. They can't do any of that. So after he would do that, they still had to walk on their leg stumps. Look, there's guys back there walking on leg stumps. It's like zombies. Can you imagine how awful that had to smell and look? That's horrible.
And if you get
What he's doing to them, he's torturing them to death. Who would want to live like that? you'd be going to walk, you'd be going to work, panning for gold with your hand stumps, with arm stumps. The next time, what would they do? Get you at the elbow, if you live that long. And after so many days, if you still haven't come with anything, they're going to take your head. Now, here's the other thing. They would do that to the men, really not the women so much, but they didn't need to. Like I've told you guys before, as hard as it is for me with my migraine, it's harder for my husband to see me in pain. You guys know, every one of you has someone you love, correct? Every one of you. When you see someone you love hurting, you hurt more than that person does because you worry about how much they're hurting, right? Even if your brother or sister aggravates the mess out of you, when you see one of them hurting, you hurt more than they do.
Yes.
Correct? Even if Jaden aggravates the fire out of you, if she's hurting, you hurt more than she does because you worry about her. Correct? So the wives and the children of these men, they didn't need to be physically hurt. They saw their men, the people they respected and loved and honored, hurting. And that was enough to keep them doing what Spanish ones would do. Because they were scared for their men. That's horrible, isn't it? So the people, the Spaniards, they didn't want to live like that. So a lot of them would run away. They would revolt every now and then. And some of them didn't want to live. And they would take matters in their own hands. Because that is a horrible way to live. Like I said, before he came to the United States, he decimated the Incan population. And that was a very well organized, amazing culture. The Peru, where they had the I forget the name of the place on the mountain. Oh, there was a restaurant, a Peruvian restaurant that had a big picture of it, of the Incan place on the mountain where people would go and look at it. It's amazing. And DeSoto just completely wiped them out. Yes, sir. I don't think so. Didn't need to. All they had to do was take out the strongest people in the family, the male, and the women and children would be terrified to do anything, you know. But it was an impossible task. How are you going to find gold sitting around on the ground? Do you commonly walk around and find gold laying out here in Louisiana?
No.
Is that a common thing you'd find in Tennessee or Florida out on the ground? No. It's an impossible task. And the Spaniards pretty much knew that. They were torturing men. That's what they were doing. It's greedy. It's evil. And that's why I say, and my husband and I talked about it too, how could they be professing to spread Christianity when that's also what they were doing?
Is that school legal?
What?
Is that school appropriate?
That's part of the curriculum. Oh, yeah. Greed. That's greed. That's a lot of greed and hate. If this makes you feel any better, DeSoto makes Columbus look like a nice guy, doesn't he?
Yeah.
DeSoto convinced natives that he was a god, and gods can't die. Okay, so he did die when he was 42 years old.
That's sad. That's young.
No, that's not sad.
It's not sad.
It's not very nice of me to smile.
I
But
bet his men were like, yay, God.
yes, but they didn't want the Native Americans to realize the God died. So they took him out in the middle of the night and threw him in the Mississippi River. So it's not clear where he was thrown in. If he was thrown in Viceroy, Louisiana, or in Arkansas. But he went for a long lost swim in the Mississippi when he died. No, he's already dead. Apparently he just died of some disease or something. Too bad he could have been poked to death with toothpicks or something, you know. Or okay, so.
Would have been a very unnecessary waste.
No, it would have been wasting the toothpicks. But what he did. All right, source 2, conflict or cooperation. Please get this right. Conflict or cooperation. Thank you.
Definitely conflict. That's gonna scar me for life.
Well, point is, the Spaniards, they interacted with Native Americans brutally.
I do not forget anything ever.
All right, description. What can we say? DeSoto. By the way, that is what DeSoto Parish is named after. There are lots of DeSoto things named after him because, you know, who better to name things after than the sadistic? Yeah. Okie dokie. DeSoto did what? Give me a little more than that one. Tortured and brutally killed who? Native Americans. And people in second block asked me if he would have been put in jail for what he did if he made it back to Europe. I don't know, because he never made it back to Europe. He died in America so soon. He was in prison for less. DeSoto did far worse.
Did anybody know about it?
I don't know, because, and I don't know if he would have been in prison, because DeSoto is the reason that so much land in South America, Middle America, and the southern part of the United States was claimed for Spain. So I don't know if he would have been in prison or honored. I don't know. But honestly, I can't believe so many things are named for the guy, because, oh my gosh.
I don't think we have to know this good.
They said he's a brilliant tactician. He was great in war, but ugh,
I bet that's why he's great in war.
just kill them all.
Tortured his opponent.
Kill them all.
This sort of goes into wars by everyone in the world.
All right, class.
Yes.
We have about 20 minutes until Mr. Williams comes on. That's not long. And then we have a paragraph too. So let's keep working.
I think there's a paragraph.
Guys, quiet. Source 3, the old treaty elm. Look at the picture. You have some British standing and you have some Native Americans standing also. It looks like they're shaking hands. And then you have some British that are kneeling, looking in a box, and you have some Native Americans kneeling too. So they're all on the same level. Just by virtue of the picture, it looks like it's cooperation, doesn't it? So it says, William Penn making his treaty with the Native Americans under the famous old treaty elm. So is that conflict or cooperation?
Cooperation.
Cooperation, absolutely. As long as we can keep going.
Okay, you said that they're not full like number 2.
It's interesting. It gets your attention. It's horrible, but it gets your attention. It reminds me of the series Hannibal. It gets your attention.
I just thought about DeSoto just putting 2 people, keep putting 2 people every time they bring them back into.
Okay, source 4. Listen up, follow along while I'm reading. Bless you. If you need sanitizer, go get it. The Spanish forced the people to stand all day in the hot sun, gathering gold in the sand of the rivers. By this means, a great number of them died, and a great number of them, seeing themselves in a life of misery and slavery, did not want to live. And many would not marry because they would not have their children slaves to Spaniards. That's pretty darn sad. They didn't want to marry which would give them a best friend, someone to be with all the time, because they didn't want to have children and have their children be enslaved by the Spaniards. And what does it say how did they die? Sir Legend was answering it. He raised his hand. He literally worked them to death. They died from heat strokes. They worked to death. Or they dehydrated to death. Because, guys, they didn't get a bathroom break. They would go to the bathroom where they stood. And where they drank was also where they stood in the river. So they're drinking contaminated water. And that would cause them to have, the contaminated water would cause them to be sick. And that would make them get dehydrated even more. So they're getting very, very sick from that water source that they
would
themselves.
give them salt. They would be even more contaminated.
Well, I mean, he worked them to death.
Salt
Did not treat them well at all.
conflict.
Definitely. So I didn't write down source 3. How can we describe source 3 with the old treaty elm? What was that? Native Americans and who? And British did what? And British made a peace treaty under a special oak tree. Hold on, we're coming back to it. Hold on. Not an oak tree, an elm tree. I'm just going to put special tree. Okay. Number 3, Native Americans and British make a peace treaty under a special tree. Source 4. How can we word source 4? We said conflicts. What can we say about it? What can we write about source 4? Parker. How about the Spanish enslaved? And what people?
Native Americans.
Enslaved Native Americans.
Thinking that Spanish people are right by us today.
Yes. The Spanish enslaved Native Americans and made them
Get gold.
Search for gold. Okay. Source 5. The Pilgrims learned to farm. These skilled Native American farmers knew how to get the most out of the poor coastal soil and taught the Pilgrims to do the same. So who were the skilled farmers? Who were the people who knew how to take care of the land and get stuff out of it? Sir Legend. The Native Americans. They were the ones that knew how to take care of the land and make it produce food. Unlike the soil of southern England, which is deep, nutrient-rich, loamy, and easy to hand till, in other words, it's that lightweight stuff, it's real good for growing. The soil in coastal Massachusetts is shallow, sandy, and stony, making it hard to work by hand. Before learning the best crops to grow in their new home, the Pilgrims would have probably tried and failed to grow rye, barley, and wheat, and a variety of English garden vegetables. So in other words, who saved who?
The Native Americans
Saved the Pilgrims from starving to death, right? Okay, so right. I'm not giving you the notes for 5 and 6. So that one was what kind of relationship? Cooperation. Source 6, Beaver Wars. That's a genius Frenchman standing in the middle. The Iroquois, that was a Native American tribe, battled the French and the Hurons. Hurons were another Native American tribe for the control of the beaver trade along the St. Lawrence River. It lasted 90-something years, the Beaver Wars. Conflict, definitely, and you need to describe it on your own, okay? All right, so go into the back of the page. Let's go ahead and get this topic sentence done. It asks, explain how early explorations caused cooperation and conflict between the Europeans and Native Americans. So early interactions between whom? Native Americans and Europeans. Remember, you don't abbreviate in this paragraph and you indent that first line because so many people keep forgetting to indent. Involved both what? Guys, involved what?
Cooperation and conflict.
There you go, cooperation and conflict. Okay, now I need 4 more sentences, at least 3 detail sentences and a concluding sentence, okay? And guys, you have about 30 minutes. So you have more time than second block did. Don't forget, you need to finish up your source 5 and 6 on your notes. You may take information from your notes as long as you make it into complete sentences to use for your paragraph, or you can go back to your original sources. You could even use that other source that we didn't write anything from, European contact with the Native Americans, to write your details, okay? I'm going to give you a couple minutes to write that, and then I want to give you an example sentence. Nope, you have to hold it. You have to hold it at the very end of class now. I'm going to show you a couple paragraphs that people wrote. Don't forget, if you paid for Spirit Week, tomorrow's Crazy Hat, Crazy Sock Day. Tomorrow's the reason that I'm doing the week. Trust me, y'all will notice me tomorrow. Yes, Addison. I can trade with you for now. All right, let me show you a couple examples. The student wrote a good paragraph, and then she skipped a line and wrote concluding sentence. Is that what you're supposed to do?
No.
Everyone knows, and I'll sharpen this in a minute. No, you don't do this. You do not skip a line and write concluding sentence and then do this. This is how you write your paragraph. All your sentences together, and the first sentence is indented. And look, the person even started it. with the words in conclusion. So I know that is a conclusion sentence, don't I? Got it? Okay. All these all these sentences where one sentence ends, the next one begins. That's what yours should do. See where that sentence ends? The next one begins. See it? That's what yours should look like. Get to writing. When you finish, it will go in the yellow tray. European conduct with Native Americans goes here. The one that's multiple pages goes here on the black stool. Okay?
Was that all the ones mostly only two? You said that 2 and 6, 4 and 6.
2, 4, and 6 for conflict.
That's funny. Hope you even the cool.
Okay. I'm about to post these online on Dojo for my online students. What's that? What is it? They're wearing loincloths. They're not bad. What is it, Eason? You don't have to use them all. Remember, you've given me 3 detail sentences. And a concluding sentence. And it's yours to make. Guys, I don't ask y'all to grade my papers for me. Okay? And we did the first 4 together. You're going to have to do those last 2 notes on your own. Okay? You have to do the notes for sources 5 and 6 on your own.
Mrs. Beaver,
Yeah.
you know, you told us to use that be so when the Native Americans to get them on.
Who is? Michaela, come here, please.
Like like catching something from gold.
Got it. Yes, Tamazier.
Like catch a little bit of gold.
Yes.
What was it called?
You just need to say a little bit of gold because that wasn't actually spoken about in the sources. It's just that they were making them work to death to find them gold. That's the part you need to include, okay? They're being way too harsh with them. Go work
My
it
son
yourself.
actually did get gold every day, but little did he know he was stealing from another country.
Yes. Oh, we need to wait for 30. You're having a crazy hair moment. Like this. There you go. You got it. All right, guys, quiet. Quiet, please.
Teachers and students, please excuse this interruption. Let me remind my elementary teachers today we do have an in-service. It's going to be in the auditorium, and that will be directly after school. It'll be from 3:30 to 4:30. These are mandatory in-services, so if you're unable to attend today, you must attend tomorrow. These are the only 2 dates that these are going to be done, today and tomorrow. They'll both be after school. If you have any students that ride bus 642 will need to report to the gym. The auditorium is going to be used for our in-service, so 642 needs to report to the gym. Bus 160 will need to report to the gym. If you have any students riding bus 416, but they will be on bus 614 today. Bus 614 will be running for 416. If you have any students riding bus 91, they will be on bus 642 today. And if you have any students riding bus 637, they will be on bus 254. Once again, bus 642 will be in the gym, and bus 160 will be in the gym. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Source 5 was talking about the Native Americans teaching the Pilgrims how to farm. And source 6 was Beaver Wars. The Iroquois battling French and Hurons.
Tomorrow, are we going to wear our crazy socks and our school uniform?
If you want to. You can wear a crazy hat too if you have one. I've got so many crazy hats. Trust me, you'll notice the one I'm wearing tomorrow. Promise.
Are you gonna stack your hat?
Yes, I am.
Oh.
Yeah. It'll be noticeable. Yes, sir.
Oh my God.
Are you desperate? You can't wait 15 minutes, 10 minutes?
If it's 10 minutes, I can wait.
Okay. 2
I
minutes.
just.
Quiet, please. Because I think that happens so long. Yes, sir. So I can't give you that. I don't even have any of it at home. What? You can write 3 detailed sentences, including things. You can write more if you want to. What is it? What? What? That was the thing that you paid $3 for, to wear jeans. Today it was NFL shirt, tomorrow's crazy hat and crazy socks. Or something like a hat. Wednesday's nerd day, Thursday's camo day, and Friday's spirit day. Guys, working on your paragraph. Yes, Addison. I'm sure Miss Ward will tell y'all. Guys, nobody here is going to grade this stack of papers. I need you working so I can do my work. Okie doke. You don't have time to be sitting there. Get busy. Who? Cam, come in. Cam, come on. Looks like this. Were you here Friday? Okay, come here. I know, come here. I think I've already graded it. That's why I want to know your grades. Apparently, one of the times that I hit submit, save, it didn't save grays in, so like a couple of my grays in. Students, work, don't talk. Do I have it? I don't see it.
Where does this one go?
Right there. Black stool. Black stool. There you go. Thank you. I must have it because I don't see it in your work. And that was it. If you want to grab that one with the color picture, use it too. What? That one goes right over there, and the other one will be off. Thank you, Pam, for your patience with your teacher not paying attention. Quiet.
We're done.
Yes, when you're done, pack up. You have 11 minutes. Yes. You wrote them? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I can't hear your question because other people are talking out of turn.
So what are we gonna like?
Detailed sentences and concluding sentence. Yes, ma'am. Oh. Please don't mess up a water bottle with all those crunching sounds. We're all messing up these trash cans.
Look at the color.
For the middle. That's gonna go right there, and then the color stuff goes right above it. Why's everybody's bladder breaking all of a
Mine doesn't. I think my bag is
sudden? I find that peculiar. Y'all need to stop chugging the water. If you ever see me going,
I chugged my water bottle. I chugged down my
I
water.
literally had surgery in the bladder. Y'all ever see me going? No. Y'all just are looking for a reason to get out of my room. That's it. When I have the students set the bathroom on fire, it makes it where I don't trust my students to the bathroom unattended. I have a legit reason, don't I?
Yeah. Just like the Native Americans. So they can fight.
Like shit, by the way.
They can get them.
Oh, that's- doesn't need yellow bathroom.
Strong.
All right, stop the talking. When you finish, your work goes in the yellow tray. The multiple page source goes on the black stool, and the one that's multiple colors goes on my black table, along with looks like every other source known to man.
What if you didn't finish?
We still have 8 minutes.
I have to drink water.
What is it?
I have to drink that water in the morning. For one reason. For one, that's all I can call.
All right, stop talking. Word. Okay, friends, you still have 7 minutes, so you still have time to get it done. Make sure you give me quality work because it's just your grade, okay?
Well,
That's it. Gracie, take your backpack off and go to the restroom. Hurry. You've only got 5 minutes to leave.
should we go to the middle school gym?
I'm not sure about this board. I'm sure we'll tell you.
About what? Yeah, this is really funny. It's kind of scratchy.
Over the rubber band. How do you work the rubber band? How do you miss that? I don't think you should trust them with that haircut. That's
What?
you have a bowl cut on the side. It's it's just I'm always like not happy with, and I just this is what ends up happening.
Okay, you have about 3 minutes remaining, my friends, okay? Okay, Lucas, I'm going to turn this off and I will get this uploaded to YouTube after school. It'll probably be around 4:45 or 5 because we have a PD, okay? So I will see you tomorrow.